in his statement, "We regret that the Russian Federation is using this body as a platform to spread disinformation and to draw attention away from its unprovoked, unjustified, irresponsible and brutal warfare in Ukraine."
Surprised by that statement because, in fact, it is Ukraine and those who support it who is using this forum to attack Russia in an unjustifiable and unprovoked way.
While everyone is busy looking at the World Economic Forum happening in Davos, Switzerland, I'm closely monitoring what's happening about 5 hours away in Geneva during the World Health Organization's annual World Health Assembly. And the theme, Peace for Health, Health for Peace, is interesting in and of itself. But what has come about during member state delegations, specifically from Russia, might shock you. Let's dig in. At this World Health Assembly, there is a jam-packed program schedule with plenary and committee meetings. It's hours worth of live streaming, so it's really a mammoth of an undertaking to listen to all of it. But because I think it's extremely important to keep up with this and hold some of these people accountable, I have done my best to bring you relevant clips and absurdities alike. At the third plenary session after the general discussion, a representative from Russia exercised their right of reply at the end to say this. And note that the translations here are done by the World Health Organization.
The Russian Federation roundly condemns the lies and insinuations and unsubstantiated accusations against Russia made in the statements by Ukraine and the delegations that support it at the 75th World Health Assembly. Russia, based on Article 51 of the UN Charter, is carrying out its right to self-defense in carrying out its special military operation, and the UN Security Council was informed of this in due course. In our actions in Ukraine, our country is not just protecting itself from a Nazi threat, but also acting in line with the principles of the UN Charter in the territories of Donbass in Ukraine. These principles have been violated for 8 years since the 2014 coup d'etat in Kiev. Our army is not carrying out strikes against civilian infrastructure, including healthcare infrastructure. In Russia, we have created temporary housing for which provide medical assistance for refugees. We provide daily briefings on the operation, which is constantly being updated. We would like to ask the representatives of Ukraine and other delegations to stop using this forum of the WHO's body to make such statements, and we call on them to focus on the significant humanitarian situation in Ukraine.
To which France responds, appearing to completely disregard what the Russian representative said. Check it out.
On behalf of the European Union, I wish to reply to the statement by Russia. We firmly support the inherent right of Ukraine to defend its territorial integrity and its population against Russia, according to Article 51 of the UN Charter. And the deliberate attacks by the Russian army against healthcare facilities are well documented by the WHO, and the European Union fully condemns any attack on healthcare facilities. The direct and indirect health impacts of a Russian attack on the health of the Ukrainian people are a matter of great concern for the Euro region. The Director General Hans Kluge and the WHO Director General Dr. Tedros have themselves been to Ukraine to assess the situation in the field, and we support the humanitarian health teams in the field.
And that the United States representative also keys in a response where they, too, appear to completely disregard what Russia was saying, in that they aren't the ones conducting the attacks. And then US shares some statistics.
The United States joins others in condemning Russia's unprovoked and unjustified war against Ukraine and the Russian military forces' brutal attacks that have disrupted health services and destroyed critical health infrastructure. As of May 12, the World Health Organization had verified 211 incidents of attacks on healthcare facilities since the invasion of February 24, causing 75 deaths and 55 injuries. The humanitarian crisis caused by Putin's war of choice and facilitated by the regime in Belarus is indefensible. Destroyed health infrastructure and disrupted chains of medical supplies now pose a grave threat to millions of people. both within and well beyond Ukraine. Over 8 million people are internally displaced, and the number of people who have fled to neighboring countries is now over 5.9 million. We thank the WHO and other humanitarian agencies and partners who are working tirelessly to provide protection and access to life-saving supplies and services for affected communities and health workers. We call on Moscow to immediately cease its war against Ukraine, withdraw its military forces from the territory of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders, and refrain from any further unlawful threat or use of force against any UN member state. We also call for the rapid, safe, and unhindered access of humanitarian assistance to those in need in Ukraine to protect civilians, including those who are third country nationals, as well as humanitarian personnel and vulnerable populations, including but not limited to women, children, the elderly, LGBTQ+, and persons with disabilities. Our partnership with and commitment to the people of Ukraine is steadfast and enduring, and the United States will continue to stand with Ukraine and its people in this crisis.
Russia once again responds, reiterating their points and position, and asks for the statistics that were sourced.
We would like to look at the statistics that the EU is receiving from the WHO with regard to strikes against civilian infrastructure in Ukraine. We don't think that the WHO provides such information, but we know that those strikes are being carried out by Ukraine's armed forces and its nationalist battalions against civilian infrastructure, against kindergartens, against people's homes, as well as against hospitals.
Norway then takes a turn to meddle in the discussion and says this.
We would like to exercise our right to reply to respond to the claims made by the Russian representative in his statement. We regret that the Russian Federation is using this body as a platform to spread disinformation and to draw attention away from its unprovoked, unjustified, irresponsible, and brutal warfare in Ukraine.
In the final correspondence, Russia again responds.
Surprised by that statement because, in fact, it is Ukraine and those who support it who is using this forum to attack Russia in an unjustifiable and unprovoked way, and we're simply responding to that. Thank you.
The whole theme of the World Health Assembly appears to be built on Tedros's concept of one health for all, and that we cannot have health without peace, and of course, vice versa. He's said that in order to have health, we must have full compliance of individuals and member states. Almost every member state speech that I've listened to thus far referenced the war in Ukraine and its effect on health. Now, I'm not disputing that war is catastrophic and the health implications are vast, but why is the World Health Organization using this as a political tool to espouse sustainable development goals, global health surveillance, and reiterating that we need a new international instrument to implement global architecture for health security? What do you think? The World Health Assembly will be discussing international health regulations, and while they're a bit different, we're also keeping an eye on the World Health Organization's proposal to amend their pandemic treaty. If you don't agree with global institutions having say over the health sovereignty of Canadians, then head over to our special website at nopandemictreaty.com, and there you can sign our petition. That website again is nopandemictreaty.com.